Welcome to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection since 1991. I'm Linda Karnauskas, and I want to thank you for joining us on this Monday, October 3rd. We have an informative program for you today. We are talking this whole entire program about what it means to be a prosecutor versus a public defender. And to do that, you'll be meeting Dawn Johnson, who is a public defender for the Third Judicial District. So that'll be an exciting program, and we hope you'll stay with us for that. The Owatonna Today Show welcomes your comments and suggestions regarding show topics and guests. You can do so by emailing us at owatonatoday@charter.net or by contacting our show's producer, Leanne T. She would love to hear from you. We will take a short break to hear a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back with Dawn Johnson. So please stay with us.
Hi, I'm Dr. Beth Giltvet.
And I'm Dr. Nick Vincelli of Horizon Eye Care.
We want you to see what you love and love how you see. We're proud sponsors of the Owatonna Today Show.
I needed more than just another dead-end job. I wanted a career, so I expressed myself.
With the kids off to college, I decided it was time for me to go back to work and express myself.
Express got me in touch with some really great companies. Now I'm on my way to a great career.
Express Employment Professionals is in contact with thousands of companies in need of quality employees. Come in now and get the job you deserve.
Express yourself today.
United Way of Steele County has kicked off the 2016 campaign. This year's corporate campaign leader is Go for Sport. Our goal is $700,000. Be part of the change you want to see in the community. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united.
Welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection. And we are here visiting with Dawn Johnson. And Dawn, you're a public defender.
I am.
And you do that with the Third Judicial District?
Yes.
Now, where is that located? Is that?
The Third Judicial District is the southeast portion of Minnesota. And we have two main offices, one in Rochester and one here in Owatonna. And our attorneys travel far and wide. Some of us represent clients in Rice County, Steele County, Waseca County, Olmsted County, Dodge County, down to Freeborn County, Fillmore. That's where we are.
Okay. And first of all, let's get into a little bit about who you are and share a little bit about yourself so our audience can get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
So, where did you go to law school and how did you get to Owatonna?
Well, I went to law school at William Mitchell, and they've now since combined with Hamlin School of Law. There got to be a lot of law schools in the Twin Cities. So that's where I went to law school. I went to college at St. Olaf in Northfield. I grew up on Long Island, and a lot of people ask me, how did you even find out about St. Olaf? My mother was born in Norway, and she came over here with her family when she was 6. And I was in my high school library, and I just came across a St. Olaf catalog. And I thought, a school where they know what lefse is? Yeah. Because all my friends growing up were Irish or Polish or Italian, and all my friends were Catholic, and a Lutheran school. So we came out and checked it out. I wanted a small liberal arts school that had a good theater department. That was my passion. And it just kind of stuck. I met my husband there freshman year. I'm married to Eric Eitram. He's the English and theater professor at the Owatonna High School. And we have an 11-year-old daughter.
Yeah, you do. Now, St. Olaf, a lot of people may not know this. It's pretty well known.
The music department, I suppose, and the choir, yes.
Yeah, because I'm from Chicago originally, or that area, and we knew of St. Olaf.
Did you?
Yeah, it was an option,
None of my friends had heard of it. Yeah. They all thought it was just the Golden Girls. And
Betty White.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, you had a passion for theater, but you ended up into law. How did that transition?
Well, my mother went back to college when I was in elementary school, and then she was an English major, and one of her professors talked her into going to law school. So I fell asleep at night to the sound of my mother's old Macintosh printer, cling, 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 cling. And I went to a class with her when I was in high school, and wouldn't you know, they were talking about constitutional law and freedom of speech and obscenity laws. So I got to hear a class about George Carlin and the 7 deadly words, so I thought, wow, this is kind of fun, classes, talking about this kind of stuff. And I felt that the law was a great way to combine my passion for theater and theatrics with my love of reading and writing. Okay. So it wound up being a pretty good career for me.
And you ended up here, and how did you get into the prosecutor's office?
Okay, well, during law school, I was a law clerk for a very large law firm in downtown Minneapolis, and it really wasn't the right place for me. It was a lot of research and writing, and everybody hears about billable hours for attorneys, and that's basically what you're there to do, bill hours for the sake of making money for the firm. And I had an opportunity to do a judicial internship class in downtown St. Paul with a judge, and I got to watch his courtroom proceedings and do a little bit of research for him, and I was just fascinated with criminal law. And it's really where things happen. It's never boring. And so I decided that's what I want to do. So after I graduated, actually, I started out for the public defender's office. I was filling in for different attorneys who are out on maternity leave, first here in the Owatonna office and then the Rochester office. And I got that job through a friend from St. Olaf who also went to William Mitchell, who knew the chief public defender at the time. So it helps to have connections.
we all find our way.
Right.
The right place at the right time.
And then that's how Doug Ruth hired me to be an assistant county attorney here in Owatonna. So I came to town about 1998. My husband was working up in Circle Pines High School. We were living in Egan, so I would drive an hour south. He would drive about 45 minutes north. Wow. And finally, a job opened up for the high school. And we said, hey, let's do it. So yes, Long Island girl, that's where I grew up, wound up somehow in Owatonna.
So being a prosecutor, let's talk about that. Take us through a day in the life of a prosecutor, and how you get the cases, that sort of thing.
This is a very busy morning for prosecutors. Everybody who was arrested over the weekend, and if the charge was serious enough, they're held until Monday morning. Usually about 11 o'clock they're brought in before the judge, and the prosecuting attorneys have lots of police reports to go forward. They read the facts and apply that to, well, did this situation violate the law? And they apply the facts to the elements of the offenses, and then they draw up a complaint, and then the person's charged and brought to court.
Okay. So would a prosecutor get in very early on a Monday?
Sometimes, yes. And sometimes they have to go in on Saturday mornings to sign some paper to hold the person until court on Monday.
So when would court convene on Mondays usually?
11.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and how long, depending on the work caseload, how long would you be in court on a Monday, let's say?
Oh, they usually take care of them within an hour and a half.
So then, do you keep those cases if they go on to further trial?
Kind of depends on how the office is run. Sometimes you just do the arraignments and then they kind of divvy up the cases later.
Okay. So when you get a case that you're doing that requires trial, how does a prosecutor work with that? What would a prosecutor do with clients and a case that's going to go on for some time?
Well, that's the interesting thing about being a prosecutor. You don't necessarily have clients, you represent the people.
Okay.
And most cases reach a plea agreement where a person agrees to plead guilty to either a lesser offense or they agree on a certain sentence, and then it doesn't go to trial. If if a person doesn't want to enter a plea agreement, then they can have a trial to either a jury or a judge.
Okay. So you being the prosecutor, you work for the state, or you
Yes, the
represent,
county. Yes,
so you're
and you
going,
represent the
so
people.
you don't have somebody that you're representing in court.
Right.
You're arguing against the
defendant.
Defense, or the defendant.
Right.
So how do you prepare for a case like that?
Well, you're going to meet with your witnesses, and the prosecutor doesn't represent the police. They're a witness for the state, for the prosecutor's office. Meet with crime victims and discuss the facts with them and prepare for their testimony for trial, or get their opinion on what kind of plea agreement the victim would like to see. The victim has a statutory right to give their opinion about a plea agreement, but ultimately it's up to the prosecutor to decide what kind of plea offer to make.
I see. So you're basically dealing with the people who have been offended, that have been hurt against, or a crime has been committed against.
Correct.
So you basically find the facts out, correct?
Yes.
And then things like in TV we see where they disclose evidence and things
or
like
don't disclose evidence.
Yeah. How does that whole realm work with the prosecutor?
There's an ethical obligation to turn over what's called exculpatory evidence, any evidence that would help the defense. The prosecutor is required to turn that over because the system wants a fair trial for the defendant.
Mm-hmm. And as you're interviewing a person and finding the facts out about the crime or different things, talking to the police, do you try to find out things? Do you have to share what you find out with them?
Yes, you typically take notes and you turn those notes over to the defense attorney.
Okay. What would you say is the most challenging or exciting thing about being a prosecutor? Both challenging and or exciting.
Sure. Challenging cases are cases of domestic assault. Most of the time, a victim has a lot of reasons for not wanting the state to prosecute. They want the person back in the home. The person may be involved in child care, paying the bills, but the prosecutor has to weigh their safety with the victim's concerns about wanting it all to go away. Studies have shown that the situation can improve for the person if the offender is prosecuted and has to go to treatment for anger management. A lot of times it's a chemical dependency issue.
Okay. And what was one of your biggest rewards or joys in being a prosecutor along the way?
Well, I started out, one of my very first cases was a young teen who was being molested by a worker who came to work at her family home. So this was a family friend they brought into their home, was molesting their daughter. And so we took it to trial and won, thank goodness. So the man was sent to prison.
Wow. And that had to be a very... you had to make sure your dots or your I's were dotted,
yes,
T's crossed. So.
Yes, it was very stressful but very rewarding.
And how long would you say a typical work week would be in the prosecutor's office while you were in there?
Oh, it's not a 9-to-5 job, especially when there's a jury trial coming. All bets are off. You're working nights and weekends. It's a lot of hours to do a good job.
Do you see some people that are prosecutors, do they eventually end up in politics?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the county attorney position is an elected position, so politics does have a lot to do with it.
Great. Well, we're going to come back and talk to you again, and we're going to be talking about what it is to be a public defender.
Sure.
Because you've served on both sides.
I have.
So we will take a short break to hear a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back, so please stay with us.
Hi, Brad here from Owatonna Senior Place. Our goal at Senior Place is to involve, enrich, and empower adults 50 years of age or better to live as independently as possible in our communities. We do this by promoting wellness through recreational, educational, and social opportunities, as well as being a referral source for services available within our area. Activities and programming at our center emphasize creating and maintaining independence in all phases of life. Come see what Senior Place has to offer. Live full, live well, and live long.
Amy Swain Hearing Centers is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Dr. Amy Swain, and I want everyone to hear better.
I'm Dan Branstead of Carlson Branstead & Company, Certified Public Accountants. We support the Owatonna Today Show.
At Triumph Graphics, we think beyond ink. That's why you should make us your source for creative concept, design, print, mail, and web. Check us out today at triumphgraphics.com.
Hello, my name is Katie Marshall. A year ago, my family and I became homeless. We were scared and alone. Today, with the help of Steele County Transitional Housing and generous donors like you, my family and I are safely housed. I am working, going to college, paying my rent on time. My children have a warm bed to sleep in every night. My family and I are so grateful for this second chance. Please help others in need by donating to transitional housing today. Everyone deserves a safe place to live.
Cedar Valley Services, located at the corner of Rose and Grove in Owatonna, provides an array of services for people with disabilities in Steele County. CVS thanks the entire community, especially our business customers, for supporting us in Owatonna for 43 years. Thank you from CVS.
Welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection since 1991. And I'm here talking with Dawn Johnson. Hi, Dawn.
Hi.
And we were talking all about what a prosecutor does in our
Yes.
first segment. And now we'd like to touch on what a public defender does. So why don't you share with us what a public defender starts out a day would be like in your district and where you serve?
Sure. I go to court in Waseca, so my office is here in Owatonna, but I also have a little office in the courthouse over there. Public defenders represent indigent people who can't afford to hire their own attorneys. So in this great state of the USA, country of the USA, we have, thanks to Gideon versus Wainwright, a very famous Supreme Court case, everybody who is charged with a crime where there's a perspective of them ending up in jail has a right to have a public defender represent their interests. It's a very scary thing to come into court and be charged with all the weight of the prosecutor has the weight of the state against them. And so it's very important that people are given a fair shake and that they receive adequate legal representation and a zealous advocate.
Now, is it really that they can't afford it, or because they might have money that they could afford to purchase the services of an attorney of their choice? Or is it that, like, for instance, I didn't want to pay for an attorney? Would a defender be given to me?
There are federal guidelines. If they receive means-tested public assistance, they're entitled to have a public defender.
Okay, so there is a line. There is
Yes.
a line that's crossed that if you don't reach this criteria, then you either defend yourself or you should have a public defender.
Yes.
Okay, and is that ultimately up to the
judge?
The
judge makes that decision.
Okay, so you have a little preliminary trial first to see if you're going to have a public defender?
No, they just fill out a form, a little affidavit talking about their income, and then the judge signs off on that.
Okay. And you mentioned a case that this was based on. What was the case?
Gideon versus Wainwright.
Okay, and can you just share a quick synopsis of the case?
Well, it basically just provided that people are entitled to a criminal defense attorney provided by the state.
Okay. So now they have an attorney assigned to them.
Yes.
And say it's you.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the first thing you do?
Well, read the police reports and the charging document, either the complaint or the ticket, and meet with the person, explain their rights, and talk to them about their version of the incident, and figure out a way to resolve it and make sure that they're treated fairly by the process. A lot of people, when they hear what I do, say, "Oh, how can you represent those people? How can you do what you do?" And my answer is, well, what if it was your brother? What if it was you? What if it was your son or daughter charged with an offense? And what if they were actually innocent? Wouldn't you want your family member to have the best legal representation they could get?
Well, and the law is your guide. All those years of study, your law is your guide, and you can't do anything really. The law doesn't guide you to do.
Right.
With your clients. So, and so how are you assigned your cases?
Well, I typically handle most of the public defender clients in Waseca. I can't represent two people who are charged with the same incident. That would be considered a conflict of interest. Or oftentimes one of my clients was working, say, with the Drug Task Force, and worked up a case against another client. I can't represent both of them.
Okay.
So we'll have other attorneys come in and represent those people that I have a conflict of interest in representing.
Okay. So you talk with your client. You come in, and then what time do you meet your client and discuss
It kind of varies. Sometimes we'll have a quick chat on the phone, or the first appearance is the judge just wants you to know that the person understands their rights and the process and the charge. And so that's a pretty quick hearing. Then we set it up for what's called an omnibus hearing. And that's where if we feel any of their rights were violated by the police, we can file a motion to have the court throw out that evidence. Or if there's not enough evidence to constitute probable cause for the charge, then we'll ask the judge to dismiss the case. And that just happened with me. Actually, I had several charges dismissed on a probable cause motion for a man who was so intoxicated on marijuana wax that he wound up in a different apartment naked and frightened a young lady who was sleeping on her couch. And the door was open. He doesn't even know how he got in there. And he passed out on her bed, woke up naked, and she woke up on her couch screaming, "Who are you and how'd you get in here?" And he said, "I've been dead for 12 years. So he was charged with burglary, entering a dwelling without permission and committing a crime. Well, he didn't really commit a crime. You have to have criminal intent to commit a crime. And sometimes it's a bad situation. Sometimes victims are frightened, but sometimes it's not a criminal offense.
Wow.
So, yeah, the judge threw out the burglary charge.
I'd be curious to know if he gave it up.
That was my mother's response, too.
I wonder if that was his low or whatever. And then maybe he said, "No, I'm not going to do this anymore." Yeah.
You know, in coming to this job, in all my years of experience, I've realized that I don't believe in good and evil. I believe in chemical dependency. I believe in poverty. I believe in mental illness.
Yes.
And very, very few of criminal defendants are monsters. They're people who had terrible childhoods. And what do we expect that their lives are going to come to?
And would you say in some of these cases, too, it's a culmination of all three?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's my job, when it comes time to sentencing, to point these things out. This person needs help. Judge, here are the options for treatment versus jail.
Now, if somebody has to post bond or bail and can't do that, do you meet with them regularly behind the bars?
Yes.
Yeah, and you have to go. So what is the day like in court then? Let's say take it through the opening trial to the close of the trial, and what you see happens with a lot of the people that you public defend.
Well, trials are great fun for the attorneys. You really get to use your creativity in presenting your case and the theme of your case to the jury. You want to win them over right away. So an opening statement is, here's what my case is going to show, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what the evidence that will be presented in this trial. Then we bring on the witnesses and we get into the testimony and exhibits are offered. And then the closing is the best part. That's where you argue for what the right outcome should be. And it's really a chance to persuade the jury through your creativity to rule on your side. And it's very exciting. And I think that a lot of people think of jury selection, oh no, jury duty, I got to do jury duty. But I think more people actually come away with it having a greater understanding and respect for how our system works. So people shouldn't shy away from serving jury duty. It's a really important civic duty.
In your occupation, do you ever see like, and teachers can bump into people they taught 10 years, and they see, oh, they've grown into this is what they're doing. Do you ever get any feedback, or does anybody ever come back and say thank you, or
occasionally they do. It's very nice. Once in a while I get a nice voicemail of someone just calling to say thank you, and they appreciate it. That someone listened to them. That's really what a lot of our clients are longing for, is just someone to listen to their side.
And turn a mistake around, and
right.
Thank you for being there for them.
Right.
You know, that type
right.
of thing. Well, great. Let's talk a little bit. You are on the Human Rights Commission.
Yes.
Here in Owatonna. So, and how do you see your fit with that?
Well, yeah, I represent people who are of great interest to the law enforcement community. So, and this is a big topic of Black Lives Matter, and I have had clients believe that they were racially profiled, and so I wanted to do whatever I could to address those issues with law enforcement. And I feel we're here, and we can be contacted if anybody has any concerns with whether they think they've been racially profiled.
Okay, great. So that's just another outpouring of becoming involved in law and seeing what the needs are, I assume.
Yes, yeah.
So overall, how would you say being a lawyer, starting out one place, coming here quickly, do you enjoy it? How would you say being a lawyer has been for you?
I do enjoy it. I really like helping people. I really like having clients, a particular person to help.
Okay, great. It's a pleasure talking with you, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you.
And thank you for all you do for everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. We will take a short break to hear a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. So please stay with us.
Hi, I'm Bev Cashman. I'm running for the House of Representatives in District 24A. Good government works when all legislators agree to listen to each other, to work together, and compromise to serve the best interests of their constituents. I will do that. As your legislator, my goal will be to help resolve difficult issues rather than simply blame the other party for failing to act. Please vote for me, Bev Cashman, on November 8th.
Welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show. It's that time in the program when we share what's going on in our community. Steele County Public Health seasonal flu shot clinics, ages 18 and older, will be held Thursday in Owatonna, October 6, 9 to 11, at the Owatonna Senior Place. If you are unable to attend a scheduled shot clinic, you may come to our office at 635 Florence Avenue, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., ages 6 months and older. Fall on the Farm and Farm to Table at the Steele County Historical Society, an interactive children's program. Join us for Junior History Detectives for pre-K children, being offered October 6th at 9 a.m. Fall on the Farm, Preserving for Winter, will let children experience what Fall on the Farm was like in the late 1800s and learn how food was preserved and what traditions are still used today. History Detectives, a program for kids in grades K through 6, begins at 6:30 p.m. on October 6th. Farm to Table and From Seed to Seed will provide kids a hands-on look at the food cycle in the 1900s. Join us in celebrating public work power and an American tradition that works. Thursday, October 6, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Visit us for refreshments, a photo op as a lineman, and a free Energy Star LED light bulb. The Steele County Historical Society will host a presentation on Owatonna's POW camp narrated by Jerry Ganfield on Thursday, October 6 at 7 p.m. at the History Center. Admission to the lecture is free if you're a member of the Steele County Historical Society, and $2 for non-members, so you won't want to miss that. Well, that concludes our show for today. We hope you enjoyed learning about Dawn Johnson and what she does as a public defender. And we hope you'll join us on Wednesday, October 5th, when we'll be hearing from the candidates for City Council. Second Ward, we'll hear Greg Schultz and incumbent and Anthony Boyd, and then we'll also visit some other candidates. Until then, have a great day, and we'll see you on Wednesday.